My last video that I did on Star Wars Battlefront 2 had some fair criticism on it where somebody told me that the video was more of a rant about why I didn't like the game and why I came around, instead of going more in depth with what the game is and whether or not people should buy it. There are tons of reviews from Battlefront YouTubers that you can go search up and watch, but I did want to go a little bit more in depth for the sake of this channel towards people that maybe were on the fence about buying it, or getting back into it after not playing it for a while. So I know this video isn't going to do very well, and I know a lot of my subscribers won't be interested in this video, so that's a damn shame. Thank you for all the support you guys give on these types of videos that are not Call of Duty related, seeing how Call of Duty is the only thing that is actually getting me any views right now. But either way, I just thought I would add my 2 cents as to whether or not Battlefront is worth trying again or buying for the first time here in 2020. So right off the bat, you should know that Battlefront 2 isn't for everyone. The frantic combat sometimes gets so intense that it's hard to distinguish exactly what's going on around you. And a big part of the skill gap in Battlefront 2 is managing intense situations, just volleys of blaster fire and explosions and lightsabers clashing and bowcasters firing. It's sometimes hard to distinguish what you need to do and the best way to help your team. But trust me, over time you'll start to be able to read complex situations and hectic situations a lot faster, and they won't seem so random and clustery. But that random feeling, clustery, hectic nature of the game will drive a lot of people away, including me. That's what drove me away from the game in the beginning, and only recently have I been okay with it. Have I sort of been in the mood to learn it and figure it out? And since I have, it's been a lot less hectic feeling, it's been a lot less overwhelming, and a lot more manageable for me. That is to say, if you make the same mistake I made, you'll probably confuse the hectic nature of the game as being random or skill-less. But although you should expect some unavoidable deaths that feel cheap, the game, simply put, has a skill curve that, in order to climb, you need to embrace the chaos and focus on what you can control and how you can help your team. The game is unbalanced sort of by design, and in my opinion, some cases by developer oversight, but mostly by design. The most important thing to understand is that the game does not guarantee survival, and that you just need to focus on about 3 main things in order to improve at the game. And this is, of course, from a beginner standpoint. I want to do more beginner's tips later on, but here are 3 things you need to know before getting back into the game, trying to get good at the game, or before purchasing the game in the first place. So here's 3 things. Number 1, the objective is important. Kill streaks don't matter, and you should focus on playing each objective and maximizing your score at all times. I say kill streaks don't matter. Obviously, keeping the enemy down and winning your gunfights does matter, and you should definitely get down the fundamentals of aiming and shooting and winning gunfights, because that is important, and the gunplay in this game is very unique. But this game isn't like Call of Duty. It won't really support a player that goes off from the objective and just picks off enemies. In a game like Modern Warfare, doing that can be very beneficial, whereas in Battlefront, you should be throwing your body on the objective. You're not really punished for dying. That's not really about your KD. It's not about racking up kill streaks. It's about helping your team and getting on the objective and pushing forward right into blaster fire sometimes in order to take objectives. So you have to be okay with that, and you have to be okay with getting good at that. Step number 2, or I guess thing number 2, is counterplay. If you want to do your own thing, that's fine, as long as you are always being a thorn in your enemy's side. Taking out snipers, vehicles, reinforcements, and heroes should be your main goal if your main goal is not to focus on objectives. Being a thorn constantly, keeping your abilities up, using scan darts, trip mines, grenades, whatever it might be, and focus on being an asshole to the enemy team. Downtime is wasted time in Battlefront. You're not playing Squad, you're not playing Insurgency, you are not playing Search and Destroy, you're not playing Rainbow Six Siege. Downtime is wasted time. You should always be doing something, whether it's doing little bits of damage to somebody at long range, throwing a grenade into a corridor, placing down a turret, placing down a shield, doing something all the time. And that leads me right into number 3. Adapt, adapt, and adapt. And also you can buy a shirt in my store that says that. But either way, you need to constantly adapt to your enemies, and the enemies should always have to adapt to you. Constantly give them obstacles to work through, constantly make them second guess themselves, do things that other players on your team aren't doing, And again, as you get good at the game, as you start to understand what's going on, even in hectic situations where everybody's piled in a corridor, you can start to see which needs need to be filled. Don't be afraid to change your blaster modifications, your class, your reinforcement, your hero, switch up your star cards. Whatever isn't working must be changed. That's an important thing to know about Battlefront. All of the decisions that you make, I would say about 80% of the decisions you make, take place in the loadout menu. That is where you build your setups to adapt to what the enemies are doing. Are there heroes going on long streaks? Are vehicles dominating the map? Are snipers picking off your team? You need to constantly give them something to adapt to, and then adapt to whatever they're doing to you and your team. I will add on though, that during your first time playing, your first several hours, your first several days, things not working out might be due to having little progress, like not having leveled up star cards, or good weapon mods, or just a lack of options at your disposal that would have been helpful. And also just a general lack of experience. So at the same time that you need to worry about adapting, you should also worry about perfecting your loadouts and leveling things up. Don't worry, the co-op mode allows you to complete weapon challenges and to progress in your character ranks. So I went from having a level 6 sniper class or specialist class to having a level 35 level 34 specialist class in about 2 days of grinding co-op. The AI is relatively easy. They will put up a fight, but they are relatively easy, and you can take them out and level up your weapons to unlock modifications, unlock new star cards, and it also serves as a good opportunity to hone your skills in terms of aiming and timing and learning to dodge roll and letting your weapon cool off, and learning all of that against AI is a lot less daunting than having to learn that against real people that might be way better than you. But if I was going to describe this game and try to draw some sort of loose comparison from other games, I would say it's a mix of Battlefield and Overwatch, where a lot of the skill comes from picking the right abilities and characters, which is a lot like Overwatch, but then the play spaces are larger. There's focus on gunplay and mastering your gun skill and vehicle play, and that is a lot more like Battlefield. In fact, the Supremacy game mode could best be described as playing a game of conquest, which once you win or lose, you have to either defend in what is essentially a game mode like Rush, but the game is full of things where you escort a payload, or just eliminate the enemy team, or take out a certain objective, or capture a certain objective. It's pretty diverse, but yeah, it reminds me of Overwatch and Battlefield, and of course, all of that being said, Battlefront is very much so its own thing, and it won't be for everyone like I stated earlier. But if you're a Star Wars fan, you have things like clones versus droids, to rebels versus the Empire, to the Resistance versus the First Order. There's really something for every Star Wars fan to enjoy thematically. And while I found the main storyline to be a letdown, the co-op holds up surprisingly well, and I really respect DICE for allowing us to level up like normal while playing against AI alongside our friends. You can go into co-op with 3 of your buddies and just level things up and unlock skill points and progress through the game while just shooting the shit and shooting some shit. It's a lot of fun locking down a corridor with your friend playing as Anakin and you're playing as Obi-Wan, and you're, stopping droids from reaching the objective. It's very fun, it's exciting, it's interesting. Some of the game could definitely be described more as dumb fun than highly competitive, but honestly, I highly recommend you pick it up on sale or come back to it if you've already purchased it, and embrace the hectic Star Wars action that really only Battlefront 2 can offer. As much as I love the games that Pandemic did back in the day, I grew up with them with the original Battlefront and Battlefront 2. I love them to death. They're very special, they're very cool, but now since the new Battlefront has single player instant action, it has co-op with your buddies, it has multiplayer versus modes, a campaign which is serviceable, I guess, there's enough variety, there's enough newness, and the fact that you don't have to purchase anything with real money. Cosmetics cost in-game currency, and then of course, the stuff that you need to actually play the game, like star cards and weapons and modifications and everything, are just unlocked through progressing and just unlocked through leveling up and killing enemies, whether they're AI or real people. And also, they're adding the original trilogy to their big Supremacy game mode, and they're also adding original trilogy to co-op later this month, I believe. So if you're into the original trilogy, end of the month might be a really good time to pick up the game, because you can just hop in as Imperials and just fuck up rebels with your friends for a while, and that's good fun. Because who the hell wouldn't want to play as the Empire? There are 2 things I wish this game had. A good private match system where I can go in and battle my friend. He could be on the the Empire side, I could be on the Rebellion, and our two AI teams would clash, but it would be him and I mostly duking it out, seeing who could get the most kills and capture the most command points. That'd be a lot of fun. That would harken back to what I loved from, playing with my buddies in classic Battlefront 2. And also, I would just love more infantry blasters, but that's really all I could ask for. Other than that, if the game's not for you, you'll know it and you won't play it. But if it wasn't for you, come back and try to learn it, master the fundamentals, and see what you can do in it. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. And it wasn't mine up until recently, and maybe I just needed to be in a certain Star Wars mood for it. Maybe I just wanted to play something that wasn't Call of Duty for a little bit. Who knows? But these are my opinions. Take them as you will. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.